Anita Baker was born January 26, 1958, in Toledo, Ohio. Baker's mom was young when she had her, so she was raised in Detroit, Michigan by her Aunt Lois Landry, owner of a beauty salon, and Uncle Walter Landry, an auto worker. She has two sons, Walter Baker Bridgeforth and Edward Carlton Bridgeforth, with ex-husband Walter Bridgeforth. Baker grew up in the inner city of Detroit, where she became aware of her vocal powers while singing in small church choirs. As a child, she idolized gospel singers, great Mahalia Jackson, and as a teenager became infatuated with the sounds of jazz singers Sarah Vaughan and Nancy Wilson. While these women continue to inspire Baker, she identifies her aunt, Lois Landry, with whom Baker lived from early childhood to adulthood, as the individual whose love and encouragement most allowed her to develop her talent. Baker dedicated her landmark recording, 1986 Rapture, to Landry. Although she was raised by her aunt, she has no malice towards her mother.
You dedicated Rapture to your aunt.
Yep, I dedicated to my aunt. She raised me, and she raised me pretty good, I think.
The importance of family to me is that I really never had one. My mom didn't raise me, my aunt raised me, and I have no malice for my mother, my birth mother. I understand a lot now about children, and she was very, very young, when she had.
Although Landry gave consistent emotional support to Baker, she and other family members worried about the possibility of Baker becoming a singer. They encouraged her to attend a community college and get a 9-to-5 job when she graduated from high school in 1976. Baker enrolled briefly in the community college, then quit to begin singing with bands in Detroit nightclubs. At the Cabaret Lounge on the city's east side, David Washington, a bassist for Detroit funk group Chapter 8, heard Baker and asked her to join the group. Baker agreed and spent the next several years touring with Chapter 8 and recording for Aureola Records, although the album yielded one hit, I Just Wanna Be Your Girl, in 1980. Aureola chose not to renew the band's contract. At the time, Aureola executives said they were dropping Chapter 8 because Baker's singing was not star material. She was devastated by the company's judgment. She decided to take her family's advice and gave up singing altogether in favor of traditional employment. Waiting tables in a bar for a short time, she soon found a job as a receptionist at a Detroit law firm. Baker had not performed in a year and a half when she received an offer from Otis Smith, a former Aureola executive who had formed Beverly Glen Records. After Smith promised her an apartment and a salary matching what Baker was earning at the Detroit law firm, she agreed to move to Los Angeles and record a solo album for Beverly Glen. The Songstress was released in 1983, sold more than 300,000 copies, and was on Billboard's Black Music charts for more than a year. The record included the hit singles No More Tears and Angels. The treatment Beverly Glen dished out was no better than Aureola's out. However, Baker did not receive royalties from the Songstress. The label claimed the album hadn't made enough money to cover recording costs and continually delayed the release of the new album.
Their executive head of the company said, "We're going to make you a star." Okay.
Sounds pretty good.
Okay. And I jumped.
Do you have any idea to date how many albums were sold?
I don't know how many were sold when we recorded that album, but it was enough for me to tour off of, and the audiences were getting bigger and bigger, and I'm like, somebody must be buying something.
What did they do to you? I mean, if
They didn't give me any money. They took my talents, they put me to work and made money from it and did not allow me to share in the revenues that they made from it.
When Baker informed the company that she was leaving, executives threatened to sue any company that signed her. Ignoring these threats, Baker hired Sherwin Bash as her manager, who had managed everyone from the Carpenters to Neil Diamond. After a lengthy court battle, Baker signed with Elektra with permission to work as executive producer on her first Elektra release, Rapture, recruiting the production assistance of Michael Powell, guitars for Chapter 8. Baker threw herself into the project. She saw this as her chance to finally prove she could succeed. Baker personally paid for recording costs greatly in excess of Elektra's budget. Rapture was released in 1986. The record won 2 Grammys and Grammy Awards in 1987, and by 1988, it had sold 5 million copies, spinning off 2 hits, Sweet Love and You Bring Me Joy. In 1988, Elektra released Baker's Giving You the Best That I Got, like Rapture, a collection of soul and R&B love songs. The record revealed Baker's strategy of sticking with a winning formula. The album was a success, selling over 3 million copies, winning a Grammy, and a 3-month tour with R&B superstar Luther Vandross. With the triumph of Baker's first 2 electro albums came trouble with the media, which had begun to exploit Baker's personal life, and the loss of her pregnancies made healing from the traumatic event more difficult and forced Baker to take a break for several weeks. The bad thing was having the whole world know. Families can suffer their problems and difficulties with each other, and it's not easy, but it's multiplied a million times when everyone knows about it.
I walked into a hotel room in the middle of my tour, and I lost it. I walked in the room, and you're on the road, 10 months out of the year, okay? And you have to have some kind of a constant. She found her constant at home. Before I had my children, my career was what validated me. It was who I was. Like my career, this is who I am. And oh my God, if something happens to this, I'm nobody. That's a horrible way to feel. It's not healthy.
Baker also did not escape a reputation of being hard to work with, commonly assigned to women who claimed their professional freedom in the music industry. She chastised sound crews on stage when they made mistakes during her first tours. Baker has since acknowledged that she engaged in some unprofessional behavior.
People behind the scenes have a tendency to say that Anita Baker is a witch with the B on the front of it when it comes to her stage and her sound. Whereas I think if it's a man, then he's viewed as being professional and efficient. And I'm just trying to be professional and efficient.
Baker's 1990 Elektra release compositions was personal to Baker because she had greater control over the songwriting and production process. She told Jet in an interview she did a lot of writing on compositions than she ever thought she would. Her efforts were well rewarded. The composition sold 1.5 million copies and won a 1991 Grammy and gave Baker credibility in the jazz world. Compositions included the hits Talk to Me, Whatever It Takes, and Fairy Tales. Baker took off in 1991 but continued to work on various projects. Baker created the Bridge 4 Foundation, and through which she established a college endowment for a class of 25 children at Berry Elementary School in Detroit. The foundation also funded a program to educate young musicians in the recording industry negotiations, teaching them how to promote their work in a commercially valuable manner, retain competent attorneys, and control their finances. In establishing the program, Baker hoped to help other musicians learn from the missteps she had made during the early stages of her career. In 1994, Baker released Rhythm of Love. The album featured Body and Soul, her first top 40 pop hit since 1989. The second single, I Apologize, won Baker an 8th Grammy. The album eventually sold over 2 million copies, her fourth consecutive platinum-selling album. She also earned a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Anita's musical accomplishments earned her a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, an honor that took this Detroit kid by surprise.
I didn't even dare dream this far. So, you know, to be on the Walk of Fame where legends are, holy smokes.
In January 2017, Baker confirmed she had retired. She emerged from retirement in 2018. In March of 2021, Baker entered into a conflict with Elektra Records over rights to her master recordings, which she claimed were supposed to return to her after the expiration of her contract, according to copyright law. She asked fans to stop buying and streaming her music until the rights to her music were given to her. In September of 2021, she announced that the dispute had been settled and that she owned her masters with the help of Chance the Rapper.
Would you guys say hello to a friend of mine by way of the music industry and by way of helping me to get a hold and ownership of my master recording? Yeah.
Anita Baker is currently on a 2023 tour. The tour is named after her album The Songstress, which was released 40 years ago. The tour will consist of 15 different cities. And if you made it to the end of this video and enjoyed the video, I ask you to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you will be notified when I upload another video. And I also ask you to comment down below and tell me what you think of this video. Thanks for watching.